GoPros is acting up, and I recorded some footage yesterday. I mean the day before yesterday when I was driving at night, and guess what? Nothing was on the card. Instead, I saw the same files. I deleted already, like, I don't know, 20 times the same files that I recorded in Jackpot, Nevada. Jackpot, Nevada, right? That was what, like a month ago. And for some reason, whenever I do, you know, format, like the option format the card, it says deleting files, everything is good, but the files don't go anywhere. And then when I try to record, all I see is those old files. So of course it can be a SD card problem, because, you know, I've been using it so often, and probably, you know, there's a limit to how many times you can record and re-record, right? It's been formatted so many times. So let's just hope that this one works. I don't know. It's a very long and boring trip back from Minitonas or Swan River. The customer took me again this morning for breakfast, and we drove in his GM pickup truck west to Swan River, because there's that Minitonas, there's nothing there. There's no coffee, there's no stores. That's just where I delivered the load. And that Swan River, it's not that big either, but I learned some interesting things. I learned that you can buy a house for $50,000 Canadian. But again, we're talking 5 hours northwest of Winnipeg. So, but it's like this kind of like area with fields. But they do have some forests in there. That's why the mail is open 24/7, super busy. And that mail, it doesn't make paper, it makes plywood, like for construction, for houses, stuff like that. And I got some presents. I got Larry, the customer, gave me a couple of hats. Yeah, he gave me this hat over here. I like these these camouflage hats, and he gave me a winter hat. I like those because when it's cold in the truck, you know, I put them on my head, otherwise you cannot sleep. And the best part, he gave me this. So I had a small knife. I gave it to him. I said, hey, here's a present from me. It was a red knife, but this one, it's a custom knife with his farm name. And check this out, it has this little button over here. You know, and he says this is the biggest size you can get, which is still legal, because it's a switchblade, right? I love it. I love it. You know, it's like that guy Casey. What's his name? Casey Neistat. He always, whenever he opens, people send him packages. You know, I often noticed, and I was envious. He always has these fancy knives. You know, and so now, thanks to Larry, I got one too. You know, just you always need a good knife in a truck. You know, just to cut something or open some packages, whatever. Because unfortunately, unlike Casey Neistat, I don't get that much mail from my fans. But yeah, it was interesting. It was a super interesting Larry is a super interesting guy, and I talked to him about his vehicle, and he said back in the day he was a fan of Ford trucks. Now every 2 years he buys a new GM pickup truck. Now he's a GM fan, and that's Swan River. They have 3 dealers. Like, it's a tiny town, but it has 3 dealers: Ford, Dodge, and GM. And he says because this, you know, because of the distances, like you have to drive 25 miles, 40 kilometers to just to have a breakfast. He puts about 50,000 kilometers a year on his vehicle, and that's why he trades them in. Once they reach like 100,000 K, which is 60,000 miles, he gets another one. Super cool. And of course all people drive 4x4 trucks, because again, winter here can be super severe and super cold, lots of snow. And I was telling him that this is kind of like climate and the scenery that I grew up with, except of course I grew up in a town, but that's what we had. We had very few forests. Mostly it's all fields, you know, agricultural area in Ukraine, where I grew up. And that's why, actually, because it resembles Ukraine, the scenery and the climate, that's why over here and the next province to the west, Saskatchewan, there's a lot of immigrants from Ukraine. A lot of them came at the beginning of the century, you know, during the October Revolution there in Russia, and then I think a bunch of them came after the war. So lots of Ukrainians over here. And as you saw in those clips in the beginning, there were areas with lots of birch trees, and birch trees always remind me of Russia, because we have lots of them there, like near Moscow, like huge forests, just birch trees, you know. And you don't see them like in Canada, right? So you only see them up north here, and northern Ontario, lots of them. But down south, I guess for some reason probably they don't like warm climate. I don't know. And I'm driving back the same way I came. So I came on Highway 75 from the US border, from Pembina. 75 north, 14 west, 3 north, then it became 13, and then Trans-Canada 1 west, and then Trans-Canada 16 west, and then Highway 5 north, and Highway 10 west and north. And Highway 10 took me straight to Larry's shop, and this is Highway 16 now. In 36 kilometers, 20 miles, I'm turning on Highway 1, which is finally, it's a divided highway, basically a freeway. And what I'm doing is, I try to get, I was looking at the load board on Friday, I try to get something, a reload, but it was already after, like, what, probably around 3 o'clock, because we were working until noon to unload, and then we went for brunch to the Swan River place, you know, and it's 20 minutes driving. Then, so by the time I came back to the truck, it was already like 2:30, 3 o'clock. And I saw a couple of loads, but they were like crazy, either crazy tall, or they wanted like 30 feet in the well, stuff like that. So, and of course there's definitely no loads out of that area. And so I'm just driving back to towards Winnipeg, and I'm going to shut down at the Flying J, just near the bypass, just west of Winnipeg. And we'll sit there till Monday, because, you know, there's no point going anywhere unless you have a load, because from Winnipeg I'm very close to US, so I can try to find a load in the States to take me back to Ontario or Quebec, you know. So I saw loads in, like this guy keeps sending me offers for a beam trailer. And of course, you know, it's useless to tell them you don't have a beam trailer, because they put you in their database. And the only way to stop receiving these emails if I tell them, you know, take me off, but then I'm not gonna see any load offers. And I asked the guy, like, it was a super light load, like 25,000, no, like 30,000 pounds, all legal dimensions, legal length, you know, even legal weight if you like, right? And I said, do these beam loads, do they pay any better? Right, because my trailer is modular, right? So I can get the beam deck, but it's very dangerous. I never work with them, but I was just curious. So I asked this guy, I said, do they pay any better? And so it was North Carolina, or I think North Carolina to Ontario. And he said, well, it's a legal load. We just needed the beam because they take the wheels off, like it's a wheel loader. So they drive this wheel loader, and then they lift it and they take the wheels off, and that's how they ship it. I guess they put the wheels on a flatbed or something, I don't know. And he said they received an offer from a trucking company, so it's about 800 miles. They received an offer for $5 a mile, which is not bad, but not super good, you know. Like, if you want a beam trailer and you're paying pretty much the same rate as for a regular RGM, I thought it would be higher, you know. So this is the last stretch before the truck stop. I'm 3 kilometers away. Yeah, it was a very long run. I found there was a store in a small town. I was looking for coffee, and I said, when I walked in, I looked around, I didn't see any coffee machines, and I asked the lady behind the counter, do you have coffee? And she says, go to the end and go through the door, and you'll see coffee on the left. And I thought maybe she didn't understand what I was asking. Maybe she thought I asked for a washroom. I said, coffee? She says, yeah, go to the very end and go through the door and turn left. And I go there, it turns out it's a small kind of like, you know, canteen, like a cafe, just with tables, and there's coffee there. Small cup like this. Small cup, $2. I couldn't find any lids. I looked everywhere, there's no lids. And I went back to the counter and I said, do you have any lids? I couldn't find anything. And she says, well, there should be some. And she went back in there, and she she brought me a lid. But yeah, and because this is the weekend, so I jumped off the wagon with a diet. So I had some bread, had some yeah, at the same store she was selling groceries. And I had some banana, and now I'm looking forward to having some pancakes. I don't remember if the restaurant is open or not, but if it is, I'm definitely going in with some coffee and either pancakes or French toast. And I see that's 100 is the bypass around Winnipeg. That now they require a special permit. If you want to go on the bypass, you need a special permit from City of Winnipeg if you're hauling an oversized, overweight load. And it became much warmer, so, you know, it's -1, which is like 30 degrees. When I left this morning, it was -8. Alright, so that's the Flying J. Let's see. Yeah, lots of spots, so I can just drive right in. Oh. And I forgot about this Best Western. Look at this guy. I like when they do that. They pass you and right away they start braking. The guy stopped in the middle of the intersection. Oh, I guess he's letting me go. But well, I guess I don't want to do that because I'm afraid I'm gonna hit him. Well, let's try. Oh, green. Yeah, basically I kept my shims over there. Right, and we all know how dangerous the shims can be when you don't have a load. And so I raised the XL3 on the booster, but for some reason I couldn't get it high enough. It only went up to, like, I don't know, 1 inch. And it was catching ground. When I was driving, I saw the tire hit the ground. It was spinning, you know, and of course that's how you can damage the tire. And I stopped in one small town on the way here and drained the air, used more timbers. I don't know, I couldn't raise it any higher, so I said, okay, I'm going to drop that axle down. But what I did is, because I have airbags right over there, so I can really reduce the pressure. So I reduced the height of that little stick, and I looked at the airbags, so there's hardly any pressure on the last two axles. Yeah, I see the truck stop is pretty empty, which is good. So I could just pull into one of those double spots in there. pancakes. Oh, I feel tired. Alright, thanks for watching. Catch you guys later.